Welcome to Soulpreneur Scaling Stories. Today we have Sophie Zollmann, who's a certified online business manager, amongst many other things that she's going to share with us. And she's going to share her scaling story, what she does now, and all of the tips and tricks and all the things behind the scenes. So thank you so much, Sophie, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here, Andrea. I love that, you and I are very similar in what we do, yet we have our distinctions. And, I'm all about cooperation, not competition. So, this is definitely us being collaborative and cooperative, not going, you're my competition. I don't want to talk to you.
Listen, it's so interesting that you say that, but we're going to get into like your story in a second because I don't understand. Like, I really don't understand this like scarcity mindset because there is a gazillion people in the world, not officially, but there's, a gazillion people in the world. And I am so happy if somebody listens to this and it's like, oh my God, Sophie is my person. And I like would love to work with her. Or if somebody listens to it, oh, Andrea is my person. I love to work with her because like people are meant to work with different people and at different times. And it's all about who you resonate with. And like, yeah, and all of these things would make me so happy. And I appreciate that you also feel the same way. And I feel like as women too, we all need to be supportive of each other and each other's businesses. Right.
Oh,
And there's
definitely.
not actually any such
Yes,
thing as competition because
absolutely.
let's say if I'm like, oh, like Sophie would be amazing for you. And then later on in the future, you're like, oh, Andrew would be the great person for you. Like that to me is a much more beautiful existence than like, these are my people. You can't have them.
Oh yes, most definitely. I am all about partnering, collaborating, all of those things because I can't help everybody in the world, obviously. And in truth and honesty, I don't want to help everybody. Not everybody is a
Right.
fit for me. There, like you said, you have to resonate with the person. You have to have the same kind of mission and vision, and you have to have compatibility with on so many levels to work with someone. It's not just like, oh, it's an open door, just come on in, I take
No, and
anybody.
that's
I
also a
mean,
recipe.
that would kill
Right.
us all. I mean, it would drive you crazy going, oh, I love this person. Oh, wait, this person and I don't gel. So now I got to fire them. Oh,
Well,
we don't, it's like, let's all
right.
work together, do what's best for everybody involved. This is about everybody, not
And
just
we're
us.
lifting the entire like womanhood. We're like by working together and collaborating, we're lifting each other up, and we all win that way. And no, you also not only do you not want to work with everybody, it would also be really detrimental to your business because it would really suck. Like, and you wouldn't do a good job with the people you're not meant to work with.
Oh yeah, yeah, and my team
Yeah.
would be miserable, and they'd leave me, and then I would, it would all fall apart because it's all, when you're a team based business like I am, I'm not just thinking for
Mhm.
myself, I am thinking for my whole team, my business, my culture. Because if I'm taking on clients that are, quite frankly, a pain in the ass, my team is going to be not happy. They're not going to do their best. And if I don't do something about it as the CEO and leader of the company, they're going to leave and everything's going to fall apart. And so my business will fall apart. And then my reputation and everything that goes with it. And it's just not worth it to try to do it all and do it for everyone, no matter who they are walking in the door. That's why there's no buy button on my website because you can't just buy now and, come on in the door.
Yeah. So let's back up like 15 steps and actually talk about who you are and what you do and what your business looks like today.
Sure. So I'm Sophie Zollmann. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I am the CEO and owner of SophieZo Next Level Business Support. And we help CEOs get out of the weeds, make more money, and have more peace of mind on a daily basis. We're an all in one marketing and operations team to help them build and scale easily and sustainably with an entire team managed business, starting with operations and marketing, and then we go from there. We have a signature 7-step process to dive into the 12 pillars of business success that we base scaling their business on, figure out what's working, what's not, and then we come up with a strategic execution plan to move forward with the necessary priorities of pillars to start getting things effective, efficient, generating more revenue, and extracting the CEO from the day to day, getting them out of the weeds so they can work on the business, not in the business, Oh, and they can have a life and love their life and even love their business again, because they might be to the point where they hate their business and they're thinking about throwing in the towel. We can back all that up and go, no, 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 no. It's not that bad. Just let us come in and support you. You're not alone and you can't do this alone. It's time to invest in yourself, invest in your business, and make it that dream that you had those years ago and get your life back and all of those things by doing this one thing.
Amazing. So this is a very developed, you have a team, there's this framework, there's all sorts of things, right, happening and going on. I'm going to guess that when you started
Wait,
your
yes.
entrepreneurial journey, none of this existed. Is that a safe bet?
Oh, no. No, my entrepreneurial journey goes back over 20 years. Um, when I have two children, my youngest was about a year and a half, 2 years old, and I needed to make money for the family. And going to a job would just go to daycare for my two children, and so it didn't make sense to try to go get a job. So I did the freelance thing. I got online on what is now called guru.com, and I got myself a freelance role as a customer service representative for an online e-commerce business back in the day. And, I started doing that, remotely. He did employ me technically instead of being, 1099, but it started there. And I spent 4 years with him growing his company from 50 grand a year to a half a million a year. And I was doing it all by myself, except for the techie piece of the website. And I was doing it for a whopping $12
Oh, girl.
an hour.
Now, let me ask you, you were doing
Yeah.
all of these things, were these to grow his business? Or did you already have these skills, or were these things that you were kind of figuring out in your experience in this position?
Most of the skills I had from my previous
Okay.
job experience, I was just
Okay.
taking it online and doing it remote
Okay,
instead
cool.
of in
Mhm.
person. I did have to learn some tech and some things like that, but thankfully I'm a tech savvy kind of person, and the online apps and softwares and whatnot definitely, made it fairly easy to
Mm.
figure it all out and do it. And, I mean, yes, there were phone calls and, things like that, but, I grew into an online business manager before I even knew what one was and long before I got
Yeah,
certified
let's
in it.
so funny. So let's actually define that, because I think a lot of the service providers listening are like, well, what does this mean? What's the difference between an OBM and a VA? Like what, like tell me. I don't remember if I said, look, it's been 7 minutes. I'm like, did I say this? I don't even remember, but we're both certified online business managers. We're both in this community. And it's so funny because when I was a VA, because that's how I started out. I was like, what is this like OBM thing? And, I was kind of like, what do I do next? Like, what's the next level after the VA? And I found the online business manager and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Let me go get certified in that. So explain to our friends what an OBM is and what we do.
So, an online business manager is really just a manager. And while just may make it sound easy, it's more of a differentiator. The virtual assistant is the doer. They're the person that is given the task to do the things that implement the strategy that the business is implementing to market, scale, sell, whatever they do. And the online business manager is the person between the CEO and the rest of the people doing the work, whether that's VAs, graphic designers, whatever it may be. They're the manager, they're the operational manager of the company, handling team, handling project management, handling all the things that are the day-to-day minutia on the management level. Now, there are OBMs that try to do it all. And generally speaking, that's frowned upon, at least in my world, because that's the way I started. When I first declared myself an OBM before I even got certified, I still was trying to do the whole OBM VA thing. And I found out very quickly, the hard way, that that does not work. And so I had to regroup, rethink. And that's actually what sparked me to get my certification, because I'm like, I know there's something deeper here that I need to know that I don't know based on my own management experience and whatnot. And so that's where I went and got certified and was like, oh my gosh, there is more to it. And then there's all that, but there isn't. It's just like, it was really getting deep and nitty gritty about truly managing. Some of it was the mindset of, okay, you're a manager or a doer. You can't do both. It's kind of like multitasking. That's a myth. You can't multitask and do anything worth a darn if you're multitasking. It's the same thing because you're basically multitasking by being a manager and a VA all at the same time.
Well, that's what I wanted to get into. You say, well, no, I quickly learned that I couldn't do both. And I want to elaborate on why, because I think two things happen is that I see a lot of people say, I'm a VA/OBM. I'm like, what does that mean? So like me, as somebody who has been both, like, what do you mean you're both? And two, there's so many VAs who are accidentally doing OBM things and falling into that role. And they're not realizing that that's a thing and that they need to think about, restructuring or charging more, that this is not VA work.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
why didn't it work for you? Like, what do you mean by, no, that didn't work? Like this is not a good thing. When you're
it didn't work for me because when you're splitting your focus between two completely different roles, which a lot of people don't even realize that's why they think it's the same, but it really isn't. And when you're splitting your focus between two different roles that require different skill sets, different thought processes, different perspective, you blur the lines, you blur your ability to do a good job at either one. Because if you're over here trying to do VA work and you're thinking about, oh, wait, did I do that management thing? Did I task out the project? Did I do XYZ management wise? And then it's like, and you're distracted from the work at hand and you're not going to do a good job. Same thing on the management side. When you're in the nitty gritty, setting up the projects, the tasks, the things, leading the team, leading the meetings, and you're thinking, oh my God, I have to get 10 VA tasks done by the end of the day, or we're going to be off deadline and I'm going to, fail. And, it just really garbles your brain and garbles your mind and causes you to lose focus and do a poor job on both things instead of a great job on one or the other.
Yeah, beautifully said. Beautifully said. So I would highly recommend anybody who's saying I am both things to pick one, pick a lane and be amazing at that thing. Because
definitely pick a lane. Or if you really want to do both or do it all, start an agency like I did.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Team-based business, and then you can do it all.
Okay, so what was the thing that you said? Okay, so you became certified, you're online business manager because we heard like, okay, this was like the road that you led down. What was the thing that said, oh, the agency, that's the route for me? What made you feel
so
that
it
way?
actually goes back further than it's pre-certification, because after I burned out as a $12 an hour business manager in the commerce world, took a break for about 8 months, then needed to go back to work, got into transcription, which led me to the online entrepreneur world, the non-e-commerce ones, the coaches, consultants, strategists, product, info product people. I was transcribing their teleseminars. Remember those? Now I'm really dating myself.
Yeah, you are.
Really dating myself long before the Zoom thing. But I found who I wanted to work for as a virtual assistant. So I relaunched myself as a virtual assistant, got on social media, and within 6 months of networking and connecting, other VAs were asking to subcontract to me. And I went, oh, this means I need to get serious and create a business. And that's when SophieZo was first born. It was SophieZo, virtually there for you back in the day. And even then, I soon became aware of the fact that I couldn't do it all. I thought I did because I was like, oh, I'm going to be the VA that they get personal service and they're going to get it all. And I quickly learned, oh, wait, I don't know everything. And there's stuff I don't want to do because I don't like doing it. So my mentor at the time was like, build a team. I'm like,
was
good idea.
So let me say, because I had a totally different experience. So I had a similar timeline in that I was a VA, I got all these clients. I couldn't serve them all. I said, let me randomly start an agency. I don't know. It just kind of happened. But it happened for me because my business led me and I didn't actually like it. And I just did it because I was getting clients and I didn't want to say no. I didn't know what to do. And I said, okay, I'll hire people and have subcontractors. So at that point, I burned it to the ground, became a certified OBM, started there, adding coaching onto that, et cetera, et cetera. So for those who are unfamiliar with me and this podcast, if this is your first one listening, I do two things. So currently I do systems build with another certified OBM. I have a couple of OBM clients and I do coaching for service providers looking to pivot and deepen and grow for more purpose and profit. So that's kind of my story. So I'm very multi-passionate in different areas. However, the agency route, again, was not a decision that came from me. It came from my circumstance. But interestingly,
Right.
it sounded like it was your circumstance, but it was for you. So I'm curious how that like intersected.
So for me, it was what I was doing is if I got a client that wanted services I didn't know how to do, I was
Mhm.
referring them to other
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
And that's when my mentor said, why turn that business away when you can have that subcontract to that person you're referring it to? It's a win-win for everybody. They
Yeah.
still get the work, they still get paid, but you still get paid too because you're
Right.
the one being hired on the high level and then you're assigning the work to team members. So
Right.
back in the day, I built my first team and agency. It just fell into my lap. I mean, a lot of what I did in the early years just happened to me because every time I said something like, oh, well, I don't want to do XYZ in my business. The next thing you know, the universe was hitting me upside the head going, oh, no, you're going to do this because it's a good thing and it will work for you. And
so
I'm
so
like,
did
okay, fine.
so did you feel like, okay, like this is what's happening, like let me try it out and see if it's something that I like doing? And then you were like, oh, I actually really enjoy this. Is that kind of accurate?
I
It
mean,
sounded like a
yes and no.
business
I mean,
decision.
sometimes it was a matter of let me try it, and other times it was
Yeah.
I just did it and was like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess I do like that, or I guess it does work because only know so much when you're first getting started, and you think you know more than you really know, and then
Right, right.
then you really try something, you get involved in something that's just it's an opportunity that is really good for you. And it's like sometimes you have to get a little nudge from the universe or whatever you believe in there. And a lot of my business has been intuition based. I mean, both listening to my intuition and also getting smacked upside the head by my intuition, going, "You didn't listen to me, and now look where you are. Let's regroup. Let's do this again. Let's do it this way," kind of a thing.
Give an example for you of, and yes, I understand, but so I'm a love the intuition talk. So give an example of something that happened when your intuition was like, oh yes, we should do that, and what that felt like how you knew that was your intuition telling you that.
Well, it actually the best example I can give is in 2018. I decided to go exclusive with a big client. They were paying me six figures. And I was said, okay, I've been with you a while. This is a good ride. Kind of done with being the jack of all trades and having multiple clients balancing all those plates. And so I went exclusive with the client. And, within, I don't know, 6 months or so, I realized that just killed my ability to scale my business and scale my revenue because if I'm only working for them, that's the revenue I have, that's the pay I get. There's nothing more, no bonuses. I mean, I might get a raise every now and again, but it really was like a job again. And I went, wait, not sure I really like that. So I decided to create a second wing of the business, so to speak, and I started developing a digital marketing agency.
Hmm.
And I was building that out and working on that. And I did a soft launch at the end of 2018, and January 9th, 2019, they let me go.
Hmm.
I literally lost it all in one fell swoop. And I had my digital marketing agency to fall back on. It was a good thing I had put that all together and was ready to start it because basically I had to start all over. But I already had the beginnings of this agency in place, the foundations, the structure, the packaging, all those things. And so it was like, okay, good thing I listened to my intuition to have this other revenue stream because otherwise I would have really literally been starting from scratch with almost nothing. And it really knocked me down. And it was also the best thing that could have happened to me because that beginning in digital marketing agency has led to where we are today. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I had stayed with that company, and I would not be as happy, healthy, and scaling and making the revenue I want to make if I'd stayed there. And, everybody I talked to, my husband, my family, my coach at the time, when I, called them in tears or went down to my husband's office in tears and told them I had been fired, they all looked at me and said, "Good." And I was like, "Excuse me? What are you talking about? I am bawling my eyes out. I have just lost everything in my mind." And everybody's going, "Good. You needed that because they were treating you bad. They were this, they were that, whatever." And in hindsight, they were exactly right. It needed to happen. It was one of those cases where the universe had to hit me upside the head a little bit and say, you really were kind of miserable there. And, this whole secondary revenue stream is really where you need to be going anyway. Because I wouldn't have been able to do anything with it, to be honest, because I was more or less full time with them. So the intuition helped me get to the point where, even though the universe had to really kind of smack me a little again to go, "No, you need to stop working there and focus on this." And I had a wonderful coach and mentor at the time. I was in a coaching program, and thankfully he's both a mindset coach and and then he has a team for the business side of things, because between them, I recovered quickly.
Mm.
I I happened to have a VIP day with them that I had bought right before I got fired. So, it all, the intuition to buy the VIP day, knowing I
Yeah.
need more. So VIP day, all these things presented themselves and I followed them. And it's a good thing I did, because I would be in a whole different place if I hadn't. And I quickly recovered six figures in 15 months. Took me
Wow.
15 months to get back up to six figures. And within the next 12 months, I was multi six figures, and I've been multi six figures and growing steadily ever since.
Wow.
And it's like, sometimes disaster is actually a blessing in disguise. And that's definitely what that was for me.
So let's talk about running a multi six figure agency, because that's a lot. You have a lot. So talk about the things that, I don't know, if there's anything maybe in particular you want to share, in addition to how, any tips you can give for somebody who's interested. Oh, like that piques their interest. And you're like, oh, like I want to have an agency, but I want to have an agency like this girl. Like I want a Sophie agency where it's like multi six figures, it's big. Like, what are the really important things, the big lessons that you've learned in setting it up and how it runs and all of that fun stuff?
Well, it is definitely a process. It cannot be rushed. You need to get a base team in place, because I can tell you, I've had my base team players have been with me for a minimum of 4 years.
Wow.
One member's been with me all like 10 years.
Wow.
And I've been doing this agency thing since 2019. And those core people that I got in place are the difference between being able to continue and grow the team and grow the business and all of that. That's the first step. And then as an online business manager or someone with very good management skills, don't get stuck in the management of it. My most recent lesson has
Yeah.
come from reading the book Who Not How by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Ben Brady. Because, as an OBM, a VA and whatnot, I was like, I'm the master delegator. I know what to do. I know how to do this. Oh, girl, there is so much more to it that I was just so blind to, because I was just kind of stuck and set in my ways from all my years of experience. It's like, I can run the company and they can do the thing, and I can tell them what to do and how to do it. And Who Not How opened my eyes and took off the blinders and said, it's not just about the who doing the how, it's letting those who's figure out the hows or create the hows, and come in and let them do their job. If they're truly an expert in what you're hiring them for, they can come in and take over their role and figure out the hows and do the hows on their own to a certain extent. I mean, you don't just bring them in and let them go, but the onboarding and the training is much more minimal if you're not going, okay, you have to do A, B, C, D, E. I mean, it's because I don't know everything.
Mhm.
Imagine that.
Oh.
And, the way I do things work for me, but it may not work for somebody else. Everybody thinks differently, perceives differently, works differently. and can do things differently. And it's not a bad thing, and it's not wrong either. So I have recently had multiple lessons in truly, really letting go
That's
of
so scary,
everything,
right? Like,
including the management. Because I hired a business,
yeah,
I hired an OBM
yeah.
last October, and it's now what, 6 months later ish. And I'm just finally figuring out that I was still like holding on to a lot of the reins, you know, not controlling her, but controlling the situations. And, and I've had a few thumps here and there along the way. It's like, no. And then when I read that book, I'm like, oh, wow, I've really got to let go. I haven't let go near as much as I thought I did. I thought I had let go and was stepping into the leadership, the CEO position. And I discovered after reading that book twice, back to back, that I was not. There really is an art to letting go. And after many years of being that person, I can see my own struggle, and I can see why CEOs I work with struggle to really let go. I'm in that same boat now, and I'm like, oh, now I get it. I so get it.
That's so
And
interesting. Yeah.
my
Yeah, yeah.
OBM is so patient, and she's just like, she's always saying, I got you, girl. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's like, I really know she's got my back. I've got her back. We make a great team. She's great at what she does. And I just got to let her do her job. 100%, not 50%, not 75%, 100%. Let her do her job, knowing she'll come to me if she needs to run something by me. If a situation comes up that she's not ever had before, whatever the case may be, I know she's going to come to me and say, hey, we got this situation. This is what happened. This is the potential solution. But I'd like your thoughts on it, or, that kind of a thing. And so that was a really huge epiphany for me in the last few months is I've always been you don't do it alone, delegate, let go. Don't be a, micromanager, all of those things. And, I wasn't fully walking my talk, which, I'm human. It is what it is. And I'm not beating myself up over it, but it's mind blowing when the right information comes to you at the right time. Because, I was thinking, initially when I read it, I'm like, oh, if I'd known that years ago, and it's like, no, I wasn't ready for this years ago. Now
Yeah.
I'm ready to receive it and
Yeah.
listen to it and do it. Because if I'd had it years ago, I probably would be like, yeah, whatever,
Mhm. Mhm.
But now I truly see, because of my experience, because of what's going on inside of my business and outside of my business with clients and their people and all those things. And it's like, wow. And it's just like, definitely the agency thing is a process. You definitely want to have your ducks in a row with SOPs, processes, procedures, and most especially your hiring process, because I have some really great people in my core team that have been here for years. But over the last 6 months and trying to expand my team and bring on more VAs, more people, even more managers, I have, had some bad eggs come in and had some bad experiences with different roles, even though I have a pretty damn good hiring process, job description, all those things. Today's world of hiring post COVID is so different because you have so many people glutting the industry, no matter what the industry, because they all came out of the woodwork during COVID, working from home, and declared, I'm a VA, I'm a digital marketer, I'm a this, I'm a that. And they can snow job you really well through all the interview process, through everything. And they can come in and they can do a good job. And then all of a sudden their true colors come out and they start slacking. They start making massive mistakes. They show that they can't really do what they said they can do. And then it kind of starts to blow up. And then you're like, oh, okay, gotta get them out, get someone else in. Where did we go wrong? Always evaluate when stuff happens. You've got to reflect on what happened, why. If you can determine why, great. But even if you can't, look at the solution and things you can do differently to make it potentially not happen again in the future. It's always a work in progress, especially when it comes to hiring and building a team. But I've also learned from that book and a few other things that the culture is very key. What my mission and vision and values are is very key to building my team, because that's the other thing is my team is all remote.
Mhm.
We have a great relationship. I do meet with each one of them individually once a month. But it's very casual and laid back, which is a good thing. But I also haven't really pulled them into the full visionary picture of my business until now.
I was gonna say, was
And
there a
once I
reason,
started,
or you just kind of overlooked that piece previously?
I just kind of like, I didn't, I didn't see that the team needed to be a part of it too, to be able to truly implement my vision, to grow, to get my vision that, going, because I was like, I'm the only one that needs to know my vision and mission, because, I mean, they know what my goals are. I would share my
Mhm.
goals for the company, for them, for the team, whatever. But the true vision of what we really want to be and become
Mhm.
was, not shared as thoroughly. And I mean, I've literally written down our value statement, our mission statement, our vision statement, and shared it with them. It was all in my head. And, I
And
would
do you feel the
mention, I might,
difference? Yeah, now that
oh,
you've
I
shared that.
do.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
I
do.
was
And the newest VA team I brought on, they were the first new hires to experience the vision statement and all those things, and a very updated onboarding process. And it was much better. And still they were like, they gave really good constructive feedback on, I would have liked to seen this in the onboarding process, or we're going to jump in here and we're going to help you fine tune your onboarding process. And it was just like, night and day difference, because they see my vision, they see my mission, and they can actually participate in bringing that vision to life with their ideas, their suggestions. And by who, not how, letting them bring me the hows that I'm not doing or am doing differently is opening things up tremendously. And it gives them buy-in. It gives them a stake in the business, not financially in the sense of they're not stakeholders, but they know now they're a part of something bigger. They're a part of something that's going to have an impact on them, me, and many others. And if we're bonded together in that process, it's going to be way more successful, and it's going to go somewhat faster, because everybody knows what the ultimate vision and goal is besides money. Because I was always like, yeah, we want to make this much this year. We want this many new clients, yada, yada, yada. And they're like, okay, yeah, fine. But now they know the why, the purpose, the mission, and they're like, oh, that makes so much sense, and means more than to just say, I want to make X amount of dollars this year.
No, 100%. And it's the same for, it's funny because you're like, no, I had it myself. A lot of people don't, in their own businesses, they don't know what their values, what their mission, what their vision is. And that, to me, that's like the first thing. Because when things get tough, when things happen and you're like, oh, maybe I should go, as you say, to get a job, you come back to that, right? You come back to your vision, to your mission, to what you actually want to be doing. And that's going to hold you there. And that's the same when you have your team. It's like, oh no, like I'm not just doing this like whatever VA work. Like I'm here to help change lives or do this, and this is how I'm doing it. And then you have people who are so excited to be there, like they're so excited to help you. So I think that's a beautiful reminder for like no matter what level of business you're at, is to really own that piece. And even if you have like one person on your team, like to have them know what you're doing and to share that with them, it changes everything. So I think that's beautiful. Is there anything else that you would like to share in terms of like your biggest maybe tip for somebody who's like, oh, I want to be Sophie. How do I be Sophie? So I know you've shared a lot, but is there anything that is like, I want to have this amazing agency and serve all of these people and do that we haven't covered or that you want to reiterate?
I just, everything is possible if you just put your mind to it, do your homework, talk to people. I am of the mind, and many people like you and I are, my humble beginnings, I got a lot of help, and I would, free help, so to speak, from people in the industry. When I was launching that VA business all those years ago, those VAs that were asking me to subcontract and therefore causing me to create my business, all three of them participated in helping me name it, do the legal stuff, launch it, build a website. And they all did it out of the, in a pay it forward kind of a thing. They'd been there, done that. They wanted to help. They didn't charge me for any of this stuff. They basically they gave me their knowledge and wisdom and their support. And I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for these three VAs. And I tell them that I'm still in touch with them all these years later. And we run into each other online or whatnot. And I remind them how grateful I am. And so I like to do the same thing. If there's a VA out there trying to become a VA, an OBM who's struggling with online business management, and now someone who is interested in doing an agency, I am happy to let them get on a call with me for 30 minutes to an hour and pick my brain for free. I pay it forward because I had so many great people helping me along the way without charging me a dime. And I feel it in my heart to be able to do that for others, because it's hard to start a business, or it's hard to change a business. It's hard if you don't know what you're doing. And so many people want to hold on to their information or make you pay for it. Oh, I've got a course you can buy to learn how to build an agency. I'm like, no. I mean, now granted, I'm not going to do this for thousands of people,
right,
but
that's not your business. You're there. And it's interesting because you're both empowering the team that works with you, the business owners, and you're like, you know what? Like, I love this vision of like, let me pay it back. And I think that that's so important that we all do that. And, like, in whatever way possible for us. Now, if your calendar starts getting filled with all these people wanting for, then maybe you have to put some boundaries in place. But like in terms of
yes, I definitely would put boundaries in place. And like another way I decided to pay it forward this year, I have a few friends and colleagues who are in business. They're struggling, and they want to get to six figures, or they want to get to multiple six figures. And because I know them, one of them is my chiropractor and one of them is a very dear friend. And I'm like, well, if you want to do this, you need more than what you're doing on your own. And I know you're not, ready to buy, a coaching program from anybody or a mentoring program or anything like that. In fact, my chiropractor actually has been through one and it didn't really get him anywhere. And I said, well, let's do it this way for a set hourly rate on an as needed basis at your pace within reason. I am going to kick your butt some if you're like lollygagging and not doing a darn thing. But, I will give you a discounted hourly rate to basically be your business consultant to help you put together these things, these offers, these programs that are going to catapult your business into those six figures or multiple six figures and that kind of a thing. And we'll just work together on that kind of a basis. And, you'll do the work, but I'll be guiding you, reviewing, providing feedback, giving you structure, whatever, recommending software, apps, whatever the case may be. And you'll be getting the kind of support you can afford, for one, and two, that isn't cookie cutter, for one, because I'm anti-cookie cutter anything.
Me too. We're on the same wavelength there.
I'm anti-cookie cutter. And, and it allows them to really relax in developing these products and services for their business and not be all stressed out because they don't know what to do. They don't know where to start. They don't know how to organize it, system, all of those things. And I can give that to them at that rate, knowing that what goes around comes around. I mean, I'm putting out good stuff and I'm paying it forward. Even though I am charging these people a little money, I'm still paying it forward, knowing that I will get good in return in one way, shape, or form in my life and my business. And I'm more than happy to do that because I know the more good I put out in the world, whether it's free or paid, the more is going to come back to me.
I love that. I think this is the perfect note to wrap this up on. And I really, really hope that people embody that message, because I think that's so important. And that's also how we make the world a better place, just in general.
Absolutely.
Like, let's all do good and give back and pay it forward to other people. I think that's amazing. So let us know how we can stay in touch with you. If you have any gifts, is there anything that you want to share? Now is your time to do that.
Absolutely. So, of course, my website is sophiezo.com, SophieZo.com. On that website, you will see my free gift of, the ultimate guide to taking back your time. You will also see buttons to book that free 30-minute call to see if we're a fit, to learn more. And then if you go to sophiezo.com/welcome, you will see the little video that very quickly, briefly, and succinctly describes what we do and gives you a really quick idea of whether it's what you're looking for or not. So I encourage you to go look there. That page is obviously free. It's a video right there. And that will also help you determine if you want to do a free call with me. And then, of course, I'm on social media: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm not on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. All your typical places you'll find me as SophieZo or the SophieZo if someone had my moniker before I got on there.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for chatting with me today, Sophie. That was amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here on your show.